The master manipulator doesn't just lie to you, they fundamentally stop seeing you as a human being long before they ever utter a deceptive word. Their target morphs into an object, a resource, a tool to be wielded. This isn't mere unkindness, it is the fundamental psychological mechanism underpinning every sophisticated act of exploitation and control. Understanding this precise cognitive shift in the manipulator's mind is the only way to truly disarm their tactics and reclaim your own agency, ensuring you are never reduced to a pawn in their chilling game. This process, often unconscious for the manipulator, yet meticulously observed in psychological studies, is known as dehumanization. It allows them to bypass the natural human inhibition against harming others. For a master manipulator, empathy isn't merely lacking, it is actively suppressed, replaced by a cold, calculating assessment of your utility. You see, if someone is not truly human in their eyes, then exploiting them, controlling them, even destroying them, carries no moral weight. This is why recognizing this internal shift within the manipulator is not just academically interesting, but absolutely vital for your emotional and psychological survival in any interpersonal dynamic. Imagine a mind that needs to justify its own cruelty, its own selfishness. To do so, it must construct a reality where the target isn't a sentient, feeling individual, but rather a tool, a resource, an obstacle, or a mere vessel for their own desires. This psychological reframing begins subtly, a gradual stripping away of your inherent worth in their perception. Initially, it might be triggered by a perceived threat to their ego, a challenge to their control, or simply the realization that you possess something they want. Instead of confronting their own insecurities or desires directly, they project blame, seeing you as the problem, the obstacle, the thing that needs to be managed or overcome. Extensive psychological research, including studies on social cognition, indicates that when individuals perceive others as belonging to an outgroup or as mere instruments, the brain regions associated with empathy show significantly reduced activity. This isn't a simple lack of feeling. It's an active suppression, a cognitive shield built to protect their own self-image while they engage in destructive behaviors. They need this shield. Without it, their own actions would be unbearable. The manipulator begins by focusing solely on your functional attributes, what you can do for them. Do you offer them status, emotional supply, financial stability, access to resources? Your unique personality, your dreams, your vulnerabilities, these are not seen as integral parts of a complex human being, but rather as variables to be understood and exploited. They analyze your weaknesses like a strategist dissecting a battlefield, not to understand your pain, but to identify points of leverage. This instrumentalization creates a profound internal distance. They are not talking to a person, they are negotiating with a set of attributes. This detachment is their core secret, the key to their lack of remorse, their unwavering focus on their objective. If you are starting to recognize echoes of this chilling pattern in your own experiences, take a brief moment. A simple comment, even just a single word, can signal to the algorithm that this vital discussion about psychological protection matters to you, and it helps ensure more people recognize this manipulation. Subscribing ensures you never miss another deep dive into the mechanisms these manipulators pray you remain ignorant of. This isn't merely a personality trait. It is a skill developed and refined, a deliberate psychological strategy, often honed through years of practice. They become adept at compartmentalizing, separating the human concept from the utility concept, allowing them to flip a switch in their minds. One moment they might feign affection or concern. The next, they are coldly calculating their next move, completely devoid of genuine feeling for the person they are pretending to care about. They do not see a person experiencing distress. They see a potential lever for gaining compliance. The unsettling revelation here is that this capacity for dehumanization is not exclusive to monstrous figures from history books. It is a prevalent, insidious mechanism operating in everyday relationships, making the next section crucial for your protection. How does this chilling mechanism operate in our everyday lives, often completely undetected? It manifests as a relentless, invisible erosion of your sense of self, orchestrated by someone who perceives you as little more than a mannequin in their puppet show. Think about it. A gaslighter doesn't just twist facts. They attempt to systematically dismantle your internal reality. They want you to doubt your memories, question your perceptions, and ultimately distrust your own sanity. Why? Because a self-doubting individual is far easier to control, far easier to manipulate. From their perspective, your independent thought, your clear perception, these are obstacles. By eroding them, they are effectively making their puppet more compliant, easier to move without resistance. Before, you were a vibrant, confident individual with a strong sense of self. After their campaign of gaslighting, you might become a shadow, constantly seeking their validation, believing their narrative of your worthlessness, and feeling utterly lost without their guidance. They want to be your only source of truth because then, and only then, are you fully within their control. It's terrifying, isn't it? Consider the dynamic of coercive control in a relationship. This isn't about isolated incidents of abuse, it's a pervasive pattern of dominance. The manipulator here doesn't just tell you what to do, they incrementally diminish your autonomy, one tiny step at a time. They might control your finances, isolate you from friends and family, dictate your appearance, or even monitor your communications. They don't see your desire for independence as a healthy human need. They see it as an insubordination, a challenge to their ownership. Have you ever felt like a stepping stone for someone else's ambition? In the workplace, this dehumanization can manifest when a manager consistently takes credit for your work, minimizes your contributions, or overloads you with tasks while denying you opportunities for advancement. They don't perceive you as a colleague with valid input and career aspirations. They see you as an anonymous cog, a disposable resource whose labor serves their climb up the corporate ladder. Your ideas are merely raw material for their polished presentation. Your extra hours are just free labor for their profit. They never truly acknowledge your personhood in that exchange. This isn't rare, it's startlingly common. Research into personality disorders and manipulative behaviors consistently reveals that a core characteristic is the instrumental treatment of others, where people are judged not by their inherent value, but by their usefulness in achieving the manipulator's objectives. They see you as a means to an end, always. They will use flattery one moment, then a biting criticism the next. Why? Because they're conditioning you, like training an animal, to seek their approval, to fear their displeasure. They are not interacting with you as an equal. They are calibrating your responses, shaping your behavior to serve their narrative, their agenda. The emotional exploitation they engage in extracts your energy, your enthusiasm, your hope, and pours it into their bottomless well of need. They will drain you dry, then move on, completely devoid of remorse, because they were never interacting with a fully realized person in the first place. You were simply a battery, and now you're depleted. Consider the implications of that for a moment. How much of your life force might you have unknowingly offered up to someone who never truly saw you? So, how do you recognize this insidious process and defend yourself against a puppet master who views you as a mere prop? We'll break it down into 3 specific, actionable strategies. First, recognize the objectification tells. Pay close attention to inconsistencies in their empathy and the transactional nature of their interactions. A manipulator will display superficial charm, but true empathy will be absent when it truly matters, especially when your pain doesn't serve their agenda. Listen for their language. Do they use phrases like, "You're useful to me," "You're good for this," or frequently talk about people in terms of their functions rather than their feelings? Do their interactions feel like a constant negotiation or exchange, rather than a genuine connection? When you express vulnerability, do they immediately pivot to how it affects them or how it can be used? Watch for the way they talk about others when those others aren't around. Is it always about what someone does or has, never about who they are? These are critical signals that you are not being seen as a complete human. Second, reclaim your narrative. When a manipulator attempts to gaslight you, to twist your perception, Do not engage in the debate over facts. Their goal isn't truth, it's control. Instead, trust your gut. If something feels off, it usually is. Start documenting inconsistencies, even if it's just in a private journal or a note on your phone. This isn't about proving anything to them, but about reinforcing your own reality. When they tell you that you're too sensitive or that something never happened, simply state your truth calmly. My experience was different, or I remember it this way. Do not argue, do not defend. Their attempts to invalidate your reality are direct attacks on your personhood, and by refusing to play their game, you deny them the very control they seek. Third, and perhaps most crucially, implement hard boundaries. The manipulator thrives on blurring lines, on making you feel responsible for their emotions or their needs. You must clearly define what you will and will not tolerate. This might involve physically distancing yourself or emotionally detaching. The grey rock method can be highly effective. Become as uninteresting and unresponsive as a grey rock. Share minimal information, avoid emotional reactions, and do not rise to their provocations. They feed on your emotional energy, on your reactions. If you stop providing that supply, they will often move on to easier targets. Understand your inherent value, independent of their validation or their perceived needs. Your worth is not determined by your utility to them. This mindset shift from seeking their approval to understanding their mechanics is your most powerful shield. You are no longer just looking at interactions, you are discerning the presence of an unseen hand, testing the emotional strings attached to every word, every gesture. You see through the performance, recognizing the chilling reality that beneath the surface, someone might be viewing you as little more than a movable piece in their own twisted game. This understanding changes everything. Your social interactions will never feel the same again, because now you possess a lens that reveals the true psychological landscape. Who in your life might see you as a function? If you want to quickly revisit these critical defenses the next time you sense this chilling pattern emerging, simply like this video now to bookmark it. The true power lies not in being manipulated, but in seeing the strings before they pull. This deep dive into the dehumanizing core of the puppet master's mind is only the beginning of understanding how these unseen forces operate in your world. Subscribe now and prepare yourself for the next profound exposure we are unearthing, a secret even more fundamental to securing your psychological freedom and recognizing what most people never even perceive.